Humans need a place to call home. Housing markets are investment or capital markets for people to make money. To overcome the housing affordability crisis, we need home markets, not housing markets. Permanent home markets are markets for a home. They make homes affordable without dropping the price and provide high returns to investors by removing unnecessary overheads while satisfying the needs of customers. Permanent home markets remove most of the cost of loans, insurance and real estate by giving buyers and investors control of their own home markets. In a housing market, a person chooses a home, then they buy the house with money that they borrow from the bank. Proof of ownership is a title document, and the markets are controlled by third parties. In a permanent home market, the proof of ownerships are share certificates. That means that the person can buy the home incrementally, one share at a time, and the markets are controlled by buyers and investors. So in the housing market, we have 3 stages. In a permanent home market, we have 1 stage, and that's much more efficient than the housing market. Let's see how it works in more detail. So the steps to buy a home in the real estate market is that a person selects a home somehow or other and goes to the bank to get finance. There's costs associated with that of mortgage insurance and setting up a loan. They choose the house in the real estate market to match their money and needs, and the cost of choosing the house is the real estate cost, which turns out to be about 5 to 10% of the actual cost of the house. They then buy the house in total and repay the bank, and in repaying the bank, they pay back more interest and more insurance, and that turns out to be, in most cases, the same cost as the cost of the loan. In contrast, the steps to buy a home in a permanent market is that the person envisages the home, they ask the permanent markets for a home that suits them and that they can afford, and the market tells them which ones they have available to choose. The costs associated with this is essentially zero. In a regular market, in a housing market, houses come onto the market when they're available to be sold. In a permanent home market, the homes are put into the market well before they're ready to be sold. So a person who owns a home goes to an existing home market and asks for their home to be put into the market. They may be a landlord or a homeowner. The person chooses the market that will accept it, sells the house to the market, and in return gets shares in the house or the value of the house. If there is a mortgage, the market takes over the mortgage. The occupier remains in the house and pays 25% of the disposable income to the market to repay the mortgage and give a return on investment to investors. If the person now wants to sell the house, then they simply stop occupying the house and keep their shares. The market finds a new occupier who pays 25% of their income to occupy the house and buy it. 50% of the payments that the occupier pays becomes equity. Let's look at investors. Investors in a permanent home market, they don't occupy a house in any permanent market. They receive a 12% inflation-adjusted flexible annuity for 20 years on their investment. Investments must take the annuity every year, but can always purchase more shares. Investors own share certificates, but they have no rights to any particular home. Investors in Australian superannuation annuities receive a 10% inflation-adjusted annuity for 10 years on their investment. So an investment in a permanent home market is at least twice as good as investors in Australian superannuation annuities. Why is that? Well, the difference comes because superannuation funds buy and sell in financial markets and pay unnecessary costs. Superannuation funds are going to find permanent home markets are very attractive investments, particularly for those whose members are at the stage of annuity stage, and that's increasingly becoming the case. Owner-occupiers are special. Owner-occupiers pay 25% of their disposable income to the market, and they'll always pay 25%. While the owner-occupier doesn't hold all the shares, 50% of the payments become equity. The remaining 50% gives a return on investment and pays to operate the permanent home market. When the person owns 100% of the shares in their house, their 25% payments become an investment. However, the owner-occupier can sell shares even if they don't own all the house. So let's assume that there's a problem and they need some money to improve the house, put on solar panels. They can sell some of the shares that they've accumulated in order to make the house better. If the home market allows it, they can sell their shares for other purposes. Like if they're old, they can sell the shares in order to buy food. So it's possible it becomes a much more flexible arrangement, and it releases capital that is held up in houses if necessary. Join, start, or provide a service to a permanent home market. To join or help start a permanent home market, click on a link to the following forms in the description below, or copy the URL on this video. Fill out the form and then we will put you in touch with a local community and a bank, one owned by depositors and borrowers, to join or establish a permanent home market. The capital to fund the markets are the houses themselves, and the banks provide the entry into the financial system. The forms are one for an investor who wants to get a 12% indexed flexible annuity for 20 years. The other is for a homeowner with or without a mortgage, so that's a person who owns a house. The third is a renter who is looking to rent a home but would prefer to buy a home through a permanent home market. Other services or questions are for people like accountants, lawyers, IT developers, banks who would like to provide services to permanent home markets. We'll provide links and contacts for you to discuss your offers with these permanent home markets. Thank you very much, and we look forward to your forms.